All right, dude, what's happening? I just wanted to do a quick intro video. Just talking about the new, I guess, aspect or part of my channel that I'm doing now around weightlifting. There was a good response from my subscribers. I wanted to see some fitness content, specifically around weightlifting. So I wanted to give a few tips on this before I start dropping the workouts. I do have over a week's worth of workouts for you guys already recorded. Dropped, so I'm just gonna make those go live, but I wanted to do this video first because there's some important tips and tricks. I'm gonna give you a little background on myself. Been lifting on and on since I was in high school. I went to college at the University of Utah and got a degree in exercise sports science, which not saying I'm some kind of expert on this, but I do have some sort of education when it comes to physical fitness, human anatomy, how muscles work, kinesiology, physiology, a lot of those things that go into this. So I do have some experience there. But these tips are really not around that or anything. I'm just, giving you some background. I'm not just I am some just regular guy, just like you guys, but I do have a little bit of education on this. So first tip for you guys is the number one thing I see in the gym is ego. Ego is a huge problem in the gym. It's just with men in general, right? We have egos. We want to be stronger than the guy next to us. We compare ourselves to everyone. That's like one of the worst things you can do is ego lift, but just drop the ego, period. There's always going to be someone stronger in the gym than you. Always, no matter what. There's not one guy that is just like either on roids or just, has been working out every day of his life and he's just going to be stronger than you, and that's okay. Like, it's your focus on yourself, not on people around you. Focus on your progress. Compete against yourself. Think of it as like an individual sport, right? Like, you really want to compete against yourself, set goals and things for yourself. Don't worry about other people. That's my first bit of advice. I give that to my son. He started lifting with me, I think when he was about 14. He's 17 now, and he had a hard time with that for a while. And then he finally now has just turned on a switch and has become this... He's a beast, actually. So, but anyway, number one, drop the ego. Number two, one thing I see that people do a lot, they do wrong in the gym a lot, and I myself will do this sometimes, and this is why it's good that I've been videoing myself doing workouts, because I can see myself like, oh, I need to fix that. I didn't, it's kind of hard to tell unless you have someone with you, which, that's another one of my tips. But slow, controlled movements of, when you're doing reps. Like, you see a lot of guys doing curls like super fast, and, doing the bench press fast, and I'm like, you are not getting a full contraction of the muscle. Slow controlled movements are much more effective to build muscle. Just 100% true. There's science behind it. So slow and controlled movements. Number three, full range of motion. So a lot of times you'll also see the cheater. I'm doing some curls here. I'm like, no, that's not a full range of motion. And that's something I have to remind myself constantly to do, because sometimes I will not do a full range of motion or not go, not do the lift correctly. It's something you have to really, really think about when you're doing those exercises. And if you're slowing it down, back to number two, if you're slowing that down, you have a much more of an opportunity to focus on a range of motion because you're doing a slow, controlled movement, right? So those two kind of go hand in hand. Number four is the muscle-mind connection. This is actually super important. A lot of science behind this as well. You can do a lot of things to focus on this, like look at your muscles as you work out. Like, I know that sounds funny, and you see guys doing this in the gym when they're doing curls and they're like staring down at their bicep. They're doing that for a reason. They're not just being vain. It's a mind-muscle connection. Sometimes you can touch the muscle you're working. Sometimes I'll do that before I work out. I'll give my biceps a little pat or something. It just gives you that little mind-muscle connection. That's super important and really helps in muscle development. Number five is hit each muscle group twice a week if possible. Now, this is probably going to be hard for some people. I work out about 6 days a week, so I do each muscle group twice a week, and I do it in different splits. There's some proven splits that work really well. The ones I do are pretty proven and have a lot of background behind them, but they're not the end-all be-all. Like, my son, he does what's called an Arnold split, right? He does that differently. He was doing the same splits I do now. Previously, he's just kind of switched it up. Nothing wrong with doing that. If you can, if all possible, if you can hit 6 days a week, getting both each muscle group twice a week, with those splits is going to be really, really important. But if you can't, if you don't have time, not everyone has as much time to go to the gym, then at least try to hit each muscle group once a week. That's kind of the minimum. Number 6, protein. This is super important. Your body needs protein to build muscle. Period. That's pretty easy, pretty basic knowledge. Here's a little formula to help you figure out how much protein you need. I would say a minimum. You're gonna times your body weight times 0.8. That's gonna give you, I'd say, your minimum or a good range. You can even go up to 1 time your weight. So if you weigh 185 pounds, 185 grams of protein per day. Now, if you do the 0.8, that's gonna be a little less than that. But that's really where you want to focus. You want to be in that range of 0.8 to 1 time your body weight in protein every day. That can be hard to do. I could make a video if you'd like on tips on how to do that. I have a few hacks, we'll call it, that I do that help me get to that goal. Number 7 is a workout buddy. This is super helpful to have someone to work out with. You may not have this as an option either. I have to go solo, and honestly, I prefer to work out solo a lot, but I have workout buddies, and they're my kids. I live with my 14-year-old daughter. She started just this year. Actually, probably last year, but she's been doing it for a little while now. She's seen awesome gains, and it's just fun. It's a good time to spend with your kids. So if you have kids that are teenagers, want to take them, that would be a great option. I've lifted both my older kids. Or if you have a buddy or your wife or your girlfriend or whoever, have a workout buddy. It helps you be accountable. They'll push you, they'll spot. You got to have a spotter, right? A lot of things. There's a lot of benefits to having a workout buddy. Number 8 is being consistent, like not missing days. I know that sounds hard, and it's going to be hard at first. And maybe that's why you take a smaller approach and go 3 times a week versus 6, and then you or maybe 4 times, up it a little bit. But consistency is key. It absolutely 100% is. If you want to see real results and development and get stronger, you need to be consistent. You need to not miss workouts. Pretty simple. Number 9 is taking a sleep. Sleep is important. This has a lot to do with sleep and rest. So taking a rest day. I don't work out every day. I take off Sundays just to let my body rest. Rest is super important for muscle development as well. And that also goes with sleep. You need to get a good amount of sleep. I'd say at least 7 to 8 hours a night is good for muscle recovery. Everyone's going to be a little different there. I'm 44 years old, so for me, I need as much sleep as I can get. So I prefer 8 hours, but I'm typically getting 7 to 8 hours. All right. And number 10 is focus. Forget the scale. One thing that people are because weightlifting is a really good way to lose weight. It really is. I know in your mind you're thinking cardio, run, cardio, lose weight. No, it's actually the opposite of that. Weightlifting is much more effective for weight loss. Cardio is great for your body, great for your heart, but you're not going to lose as much weight doing cardio as you are weightlifting. I know that's hard to understand, but go do some research. There's lots of videos. There's lots of data out there on that it's really, really effective for that. I'm not saying don't do cardio. That's another tool in your toolbox, right? And let's just talk about that. This is not necessarily a tip, but this has to do with that. So there's more to weightlifting than just going to the gym, right? We talked about one of those things being diet, protein, getting enough protein in your diet, but also counting your macros. That's what I do. MyFitnessPal, it's a great app. You can do macros in there. I look at my protein mostly, but I look at my carbs and my fat intake and my calories. Like I stay within a calorie range, which can be a challenge when you're trying to eat that much protein. It really can. But again, I can make a separate video on that as well. But that's super important as well. Having a good diet to support your muscle growth, but also to help support weight loss if that's what your goal is. Activity is huge. When I say activity, I don't necessarily mean cardio. Cardio is a tool, but I mean being active, like getting up and walking. Like I try to walk about 10,000 steps a day. I work a sedentary job. I work at a desk most of the day. I sell software. It's like I'm mostly on calls all day, and it's I don't get a lot of time, but I try to make that time. I found that if I walk my dogs, and hopefully they didn't hear me that because they might get excited, twice a day, plus what I do at the gym, I'm usually right around 10,000 steps. So, And usually those walks are like 15, 20-minute walks, you know? So it's, when you do that, it's not as hard as it seems, but it can be sometimes to hit that 10,000 steps. So, but it's a really good goal for being active, because if you combine weight training, the macro diet, use MyFitnessPal, set a goal based on your body weight, how much weight you want to lose, and, you know, set that calorie goal, but also those macro goals, and be active. Do those 3 things, and you'll not only like feel better, you'll look better. That was back to that one. Number 10, forget the, I don't think I actually went through it. Well, number 10 was forget the scale. Focus on how you look versus and feel versus what the scale says, because the hard thing about weightlifting is you're going to put on muscle, and that weighs more than fat, and you're going to not necessarily lose pounds because you're like, what the heck? I weigh the same weight. Well, look at yourself in the mirror. Do you look stronger? Are your muscles more defined? Are you losing some belly? That's my biggest number one issue right here, is this belly fat. I carry all my body fat right there, and lately I've been noticing a big decrease in that, and I'm like, wait, I've only lost like 3 pounds, but I've lost a lot of fat in that area. It's because I think of the activity levels that I've also thrown into the mix. But the point is, focus on how you look and feel and not the scale, because when you're doing weightlifting, you will gain muscle, which will help you gain weight in a way. So it's kind of contradictory when you think about it, but don't look at the scale. Don't weigh yourself too often. I do like once a week. Make sure you're doing it in the morning, before you shower, hopefully after you've had a good bowel movement. I know that's awkward, but that's true. Like, that's going to give you the most accurate weight, I think. And, I see a lot of people weigh themselves at the gym, and I'm like, you just got done working out, but you're also fully clothed. You've, like, who knows what you've eaten, you know what I mean? Like, your most accurate weight, I feel, is going to be in the morning before you shower, hopefully after a bowel movement, and no clothes on, just buck naked. Weigh yourself, and I think that's your most accurate weight, and do that and keep track of that. MyFitnessPal has a way to do that as well, and keep track of that weight. But like, remember, don't focus on it. Maybe once a week, weigh yourself. Don't do it every day, but focus on how you look and feel versus the scale. So those are my tips, guys. I hope you enjoy this new aspect of my channel. I'm really excited for it. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I created this YouTube channel like years and years ago because I was passionate about knives and guns and all kinds of gear, which I still am. That's part of the channel, hence the channel name changed to Knives, Guns, and Gainz. Used to be Knives, Guns, and Gears years ago. Changed it to EDC Gear Reviews. Now I'm going to this because I wanted to incorporate the fitness aspect of it, because it is something I'm passionate about and I really enjoy, and hopefully you guys enjoy it too. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.